much for joining me, and welcome back to the Simon Says Stamped YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be featuring the Nuvo Glimmer Paste. Nuvo has come out with a bunch of different types of embellishments, which include glitters, embellishment paste, embellishment mousse, glitter drops, and a bunch of other different things. This video is going to be showing you a close-up look at the Glimmer Paste. Now, one look at the Glimmer Paste and you know immediately these are full of glitter. I absolutely love how stunningly beautiful and shimmery these glitter pastes are. You can see that the glitter paste has a very textured consistency. As I pick these glitter pastes up with my finger, you'll definitely feel the gritty texture of the glitter that's inside the paste. When the glitter paste is applied to paper, the adhesive portion of this paste will bond the glitter particles to the paper. So you won't end up having this glitter paste rub off on your finger. So if you're someone that likes to have the look of glitter but doesn't like the mess, this is a perfect option for you. There are many techniques that you can do with the Nuvo Glimmer Paste. I'm going to be sharing a few of them here with you today. The first one is the most obvious, of course, which is using it with a stencil. However, we're going to step it up a notch, and I'm going to show you how you can mix colors together to create an ombre look. With this technique, I'm also going to be showing you how beautiful that these glimmer pastes look when you apply them onto dark colors of cardstock. So here I've used a couple of the blues and the blackish blue color to create a really beautiful ombre color transition, but also it's got not only the mixture of the color paste, but it's also got the look of that gorgeous shimmer on top of that dark colored cardstock. So let's take a look. I'm going to take off the seal from my glitter paste and just carefully use my palette knife to scrape off that excess portion. I want to save that because that's a lot of paste and I can use that on my project, or I could just scrape it back into the jar. But scraping off that seal allows you to get a little bit extra more paste from this bottle. There is quite a bit of paste in these glimmer paste jars. This jar contains 1.6 ounces, so that's quite a bit of paste. I'm going to start by applying my paste onto my stencil. Now I'm being very careful as I apply this onto this particular stencil because this one's a little bit more delicate. If you have a stencil that's a little bit more basic in design, you don't need to be quite as careful as I am. I'm being very delicate because this stencil has some delicate areas. But I'm just quickly applying paste over the top area of the panel, and then I'm going to move on to the second color. And I'm going to spread that into the darker color and creep it down towards the bottom portion of the panel. But I don't want to go too far because I want to make sure I have some area to be able to apply a third color down. Now if you want to do just two colors, you definitely could, or you can use just one. One color looks absolutely amazing as well. Now I'm going to apply my third layer of paste along the bottom portion of the stencil. And as I apply each color of paste onto my stencil, I'm making sure to overlap the areas where they're meeting each other. So where the darker blue met with the medium color of blue, I made sure that they overlapped and kind of mixed. And the same thing with the medium blue to the light blue. After I applied all my paste, I'm going to remove the stencil from my card, and you can see the stunning effect. It's absolutely amazing. Now this paste is very wet, and it took quite a bit of time to dry. I let this sit overnight, so be sure to factor in dry time as you're creating with these products. Now you also want to make sure that you clean the stencil really well. Do not let the paste sit on top of this, as you'll end up having it dry onto the stencil, and it won't come off very easily. Now this was the next day, and I have the glitter paste all dry on this card. The card is nice and stiff, it didn't warp or anything, and it creates this stunning, beautiful card design. Here's a close-up look of how I finished off that card. I really love how that gorgeous background really adds so much to a card design. Now, of course, you don't have to use paste with stencils. For those of you that aren't as big into stencils, I'm going to be showing you how you can create glitter die cuts using the embossing paste. Here I've got a butterfly die that I die cut from some cardstock, and I've temporarily adhered it to a non-stick sheet. This is actually an adhesive backing sheet from a piece of scrap adhesive that I have. I find that it's easiest to use a non-stick surface to apply your butterfly to because the paste won't stick to the non-stick surface very easily. Now, very carefully applying a layer of embossing paste over top of my butterfly. I'm doing only one coat on here because I want to show you how translucent and beautiful of a look you can get by applying just one layer. However, if you want something a bit more opaque, let this dry and come back with a second layer. I've also created two smaller butterflies that I'm going to show you a couple of the other colors of embossing paste. Now as I'm applying the paste onto these butterflies, I'm just very carefully frosting the butterflies, just like you would as if you were frosting a cake. And this allows me to create a really gorgeous glittery die cut. I really love how easy this is. You can apply the paste as thick or as thin as you'd like. I'm going to show you here how I remove them from the adhesive backing. This is important because you don't want the paste from the adhesive backing to adhere onto the butterfly, because then it will be harder to remove the butterfly later on after everything is dry. Plus, this also allows you to scrape off the excess glitter paste and use it for another project. So I'll just scrape this off of that adhesive backing sheet and scrape it off of my work surface, which is actually freezer paper, and I'll scrape it back into the jar. I also find freezer paper is very handy when working with the glitter paste as well, not only for as a non-stick surface, but also for another technique that I'll be showing in a couple minutes. You can see how I used the silver for this butterfly. The stunning results of these glitter paste looks like you die cut these butterflies from glitter paper instead of making them from paste. It's really amazing. And what I love most is that you can control the amount of glitter that these die cuts have by applying either a thinner or thicker coat, which is really cool because it allows you to get even more techniques than as if you had used a glitter paper. Now our third technique is going to not only be mixing colors together to create new colors, but also I'm going to show you how you can create standalone embellishments using the glitter paste. Now I'm going to be using a stencil for this, but you could create your own stencil by die cutting some cardstock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the stencil with a non-stick surface. You could use adhesive backing scraps like I have here, but for this particular technique I'm going to be using freezer paper because it's a little bit larger and easier to handle. So I'm going to apply the stencil on top of the freezer paper, and I'm going to start applying paste. Now, I'm going to show you two different versions of this. First, I'm going to show you with just one color. This is the gold, which is absolutely stunning. I'm going to apply this through the stencil, and you don't want a super thin coat, but you also don't need anything real thick. The best way to know if you have enough paste is by looking at the paste and seeing if you can see through it at all. If you have some areas that look a little thin, or have areas where you can actually see through to your freezer paper or adhesive backing sheets, you definitely want to add more paste because that's what's going to allow us to create embellishments from these. So I'm going to take more paste and apply it through the stencil on these other leaves so I can create a few different sizes and shapes. These glitter pastes are very easy to apply. They're very smooth and really, really creamy. I also love how much glitter that they have, and once they dry and get rid of that wet look, the glitter is absolutely stunning. So here are those stencil pieces. I'm going to let these dry overnight. You want to let these sit for at least 12 to 24 hours because we want to make sure that these pieces are fully dry before we even begin to touch them again. And this is important because we're going to actually be removing them from our non-stick surface and use them as embellishments. But you need them to harden because even after they harden, they're still a little bit pliable. And if they're too soft from not being fully cured, they will end up breaking. So that was a look at how we did the gold ones. Now I'm going to show you how we did the multicolored one where I mixed red and gold together. I'm going to take that same stencil that I used for the previous leaves, and this time I'm going to take both the red and the gold glitter paste like I said. I'm going to start by applying the gold, and I'm going to apply a little bit of gold to each of those. I'm not going to smooth this out completely. I'm just going to apply a little bit here and there, and then I'll clean off my palette knife. I'm going to bring in some red now, and I'll apply this here and there. And then once I've got a dollop down on each leaf, I'm going to start blending this into the gold. And I'm going to mix these together to create a really beautiful mixture of glitter paste. And once it dries, it creates this really beautiful red gold tint to the glitter paste, which is really stunning. So after I've mixed these together and really blended them, I'm making sure I have a good coating over top of each, and then I'll remove the stencil from the freezer paper. Again, make sure you clean your stencils really well so that way the glitter paste doesn't harden onto your stencil. You can see already how before these have even dried, how beautiful that this color is going to look. Now this was the next day, and after they've dried, I'm going to go ahead and start removing them from the stencil. You can see I've already removed these from the stencil and how gorgeously glittery and shimmery they are. They're nice and smooth on the back. And again, they are a little pliable because they are a glue. So they're not going to be completely stiff like paper, but they're not going to fall apart once you've let them cured. To remove them, I'm very carefully lifting off the tips of the leaf, and I'm slowly working the glitter paste off of the freezer paper. Once I have that off of there, you can see we've got our leaf ready to go, and it creates a really beautiful embellishment for your cards. These are really fun to make because you could literally make any type of embellishment using these stencils and glitter paste. You can even, like I said, make your own stencils from cardstock and then create shapes such as hearts and stars and other really fun shapes to create your own embellishments. I adhered mine with liquid glue for this card, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't use foam tape or fun foam on the back side of these leaves and create a really cool popped up dimension on these embellishments. So I hope this has given you a fun look on how you can use the Nuvo Glimmer Pastes, which are absolutely amazing and so beautiful and so much fun to use on your cards. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below and head on over to the Simon Says Stamp blog where you can get more information on these products. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.